I'm Beth Pomper. I'm Director of International Business Development for the state of Delaware. Emma Potler is our Marketing Director, and we work for Secretary of State Jeff Bullock. And we manage the international initiative for Delaware. And as many of you know, one of our roles is to increase Delaware's footprint around the world. And we've put together a lot of great Delaware trade representatives around the world that can help us overseas. And I'm just so thrilled this morning to introduce you to our newest family member, David Garay from Indegate Consulting. David is based in Casablanca, and David and his wonderful team will handle Northern Africa for us. And Morocco is a very important country for many reasons. Obviously, it's very important to Delaware. It's very important to our port in Delaware. We do a lot of business with the citrus coming back and forth to our state, and that obviously creates a lot of jobs for us. But more importantly, it's an amazing country, and it mirrors a lot of the needs for the types of products and services that all of you provide. And that's what's really exciting. And I know we have a good friend in David, and David, I'd like to turn it over to you to begin, and we all look forward to traveling to Morocco and working with you closely. And Michael, you got to jump on the rest of us. You got to go to Casablanca and meet David personally before I did, even, right?
We had a terrific evening out last week over a fantastic dinner. We would still be sitting there talking if it weren't for the curfew that they have there in place. About 20 minutes before 9, David said, "Uh-oh, we got to go." Because of COVID, they have COVID curfews. But Beth, let me tell you, thanks to David, my initial spark of interest in Morocco is now a fire. I mean, you couldn't find a better person there.
Yes, well, and we look forward to
Thank you, Michael.
to go shortly. That's for sure. So David,
grateful.
Without further ado, why don't you tell us all about yourself and Indiget and the wonderful opportunities in your part of the world?
Sure. Well, first of all, of course, many thanks to Beth and Export Delaware, to Emma for her great support. I think it's a great initiative what you are doing to support Delaware companies to explore new markets and new regions around the world. This is one of the solutions for the development of the local companies. And of course, this part of the world is booming. And you already have some companies like Michael. Michael, sorry, I was in mute before. I didn't realize. It was a pleasure for me also to be with you last week. I hope we can meet again very soon. And I hope your business here is going to be up and running very, very successfully. Regarding ourselves, regarding our company, is Indegate, International Development Gate, Indegate Consulting. We started up this company 11 years ago. And through this company and our network, we help companies from the US and from Europe, mainly, to do business in Africa. Okay. Why Africa? Well, Africa is a continent. I have been blessed and I had the chance to live in many, many countries in America, in Asia, in Europe, in Africa. And so I have realized where the opportunities are. And I can assure you guys that Africa is the continent where everything or almost everything is to be done. Well, everything is to be developed, the infrastructure, the IT sector, agriculture, premises, anything you may imagine has got room for development in this continent. Okay, we are talking about a continent of 1.2 billion people. So imagine the amount of opportunities, because all these people, they have to eat, they have to drink, they have to wear clothes, they have to get educated, they have to go to the doctor, they have to, so on and so forth. So we are talking about the new continent to develop. Okay, so we are going to be talking today about Morocco as the gate to the North and West African region. I will mention something that probably it will be very interesting for you all. Some of you, I'm sure you already know. But Morocco was the first country in the world to recognize US independence in 1777. So imagine the sound diplomatic and commercial relationships that these two countries have enjoyed for the last more than 200 years, for the last 3 centuries. And of course, between Morocco and the US, there is a free trade agreement, which is of course a leverage, and it will facilitate trade and business between the two countries and companies from Delaware, of course. So this is some just introduction for what is to come. I will try to do a brief tour throughout the North African region, and like this, you have some facts and figures, and so that you have a better idea of the potential of this part of the world, of these markets, and probably you will put in your agenda for the next future, for your international expansion strategy, these markets, or at least one of these markets. So if if I may, I will share my screen like this. I can start with the presentation that I've prepared for you guys. Please let me know if you can see it. Can you?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So, okay. All right. So guys, today's presentation will deal with Morocco, the gate to North and West African markets. Okay, together with Export Delaware, we will be, we are very excited, and we will be willing to receive and accompany you guys in your endeavors and your business development trips here in this part of the world. Okay. First of all, I would like to know how many of you guys have been in Africa before. I don't know if you can raise your hands in some way. I don't know, but it will be interesting to know how many of you have been in Africa before. There is something to raise your hands.
Joe has, yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 of you, Natalia, Joe, Michael, and Cole, right? Cole, you raised your hand?
And Alan went to Egypt.
Ah, William, you see, you can raise your thumb. Okay, so we have 4 or 5 people. Alan, Stashura also. Okay, 4 or 5 people, okay. So as you can see, normally this is very common, even in Spain, that is the nearest country in Europe. When I do this kind of webinars or presentations, most of the people, they never visited Africa. What is very, very stunning to learn that such a near country, continent, has never been visited by people from a country 14 kilometers away. So basically, why I'm telling you this, because Africa is the unknown continent. For me, it's my passion. I have been living in Nigeria, in Angola, in Tanzania, in Tunisia, in Cape Verde, and lately here in Morocco. So I have a good understanding about the reality in Africa. And I have been traveling around, of course, different countries, and it's an amazing continent. And I had the chance also to be living in Latin America. So I have enough experiences to compare, you know, and of course in Europe, and of course in Asia. But Africa has got something special, magic, the intensity, the people's energy, and the way Africans, they overcome difficult situations with a smile in their faces all the time. And this has got no price. For the rest, MasterCard, no? As they say, the advertisement. But it's true that Africa is an amazing continent. Once you start coming to Africa, you will fall in love. You will fall in love, as I did. I've been living here in Africa for the last 15 years, and we have helped more than 700 companies to do business in Africa so far. Okay, so we have a little bit of experience in this part of the world, and I'm sure we will be helping some of you also once you start considering Africa as your destination. So these are some of the markets where we are working, where we have delegates. Of course, out of all these countries in Africa, I mean, we're talking about 54 countries in Africa, okay? Out of the 54 countries, I will say that there are between 10 and 12 countries where infrastructure development, business environment, physical security, legal security, they make these countries conducive for business. Okay, so unfortunately, not all the African countries are conducive for business, but at least 10, 12, I will say that they are extremely interesting. There will be the countries where economic growth will be the largest in the world. Okay, we will see countries like Morocco itself, like Egypt, like Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya. These countries will be growing above 5, 6, 7% yearly in the next 10 to 20 years. And this is going to be where the real opportunities will arise. And the sooner you will start positioning your companies in this market, the better for the long term, and to give you a good access to the neighboring countries afterwards. Okay, so this is why it's interesting to act now. Our methodology is very simple and very clear all the time. We listen, we meet each one of you. We see what is your objective, your capabilities, your reach, your experience. Then we set up the objectives, and normally you will be willing to look for local clients or local partners or local distributors. Then what we do a research. We identify the leads that are important and interesting for you according to your criteria. We contact these selected leads. We schedule the meetings with them. We accompany you in the meetings, and then we do the follow-up afterwards. Okay. In most of the cases, this will be the methodology that we will follow. All right. Then let's start talking about Morocco. Okay? Morocco is the nearest country to Europe, the nearest country to the US in Africa. Of course, after all these years living in Africa, what I can tell you about Morocco is the most balanced country in Africa. Why? Because of their level of infrastructure development. We will see that, let me see here. We will see that in Morocco, you have Casablanca. It's like an European or an American city in some ways. Okay, so it's a very westernized city with infrastructure like the one that we have in Europe or in the US. We have infrastructure. I mean, the top of the list in Africa is Morocco, in all senses. Morocco boasts of having the largest port in Africa, is Tanger Med, which, as you mentioned, Beth, I guess that will be the connection with your Wellington port, I guess.
Is Joe, we are happy to have Joe Cruz on the line, and he's the new CEO of Gulftainer USA in Wilmington. Joe, do you want to explain a little bit about the port and our connection to Morocco?
Sure. It's very timely because we've got a conference call with Morocco on Thursday. This is the start of their shipping clementines to the United States, of which the Port of Wilmington, Delaware is the primary destination for all of those clementines. That the first vessel will be leaving the middle to the end of October to arrive here in November, and that season will go through roughly February or so. We receive clementines here not only for the United States, but also Canadian clementines that'll move in bond through to Canada. So it's been one of the long time customers of the port, 20 plus years. In fact, when I was in Morocco 3 years ago, negotiated the deal that the port is currently working under. As many of y'all may know, I was here and led the negotiations for Gulftainer with the state in order to privatize the Port of Wilmington, and then was able to, after we had an executive staff, was able to go back to Florida. But they needed me again, so I came back about a month ago, and I'm here for the duration. So yes, look, we have some great friends in Morocco, the clementine growers, and we look forward to another successful season. And obviously, very interested to see and hear what other trade that might happen between the Port of Delaware and Morocco.
Okay, very interesting, Joe. Good to hear. Good to hear. So yes, I mean, as I was mentioning to you, Tanger Med, probably 3 years ago, Joe, when you came here, it was only Tanger Med 1. Now we had Tanger Med 2, which has double the capacity of Tanger Med 1. So you can imagine, now is the largest port in Africa. It's one of the top 10 ports right now in the one of the top 25 ports in the world, which is something massive for an African port. So that's why I was telling you that Morocco is not only the hub for Africa because of the geographic location, but also for a reality that we can see once we are here. I mean, not only the ports, but as we will see, the diversity. I wanted to show you these pictures here. This is one of the villages in Morocco. Would you say that this is Morocco? Because we set up our stereotypes in our minds about different parts of the world, and you will never see something like this in your mind thinking about Morocco. But this is also Morocco. So it's a very diverse country. It's not only a mix of cultures, but also a mix of landscapes, a mix of different economic hubs, etc., etc. So it's a very interesting country to live, to do business, and to visit also. Okay, Morocco, well, became independent from France in the 56. Is one of the top economies. Actually, is the number 5th economy in Africa. Okay, out of 54 countries, Morocco is the 5th. You all in this picture, you can see, for instance, the largest mosque in Morocco is in Casablanca. It's the Mosque Hassan II. People in Morocco, they speak French, Arabic, Spanish, English. They love languages, and they love learning new languages, and they love talking to foreigners. So they are very friendly people. So this is something that you realized from the day one. I don't know, Michael, what is your perception after your trip last week?
What 100% true. I've never been to a place so hospitable. I was so well received. I'm really looking forward to getting back there again.
Thank you, Michael. I mean, this is not something that I'm making up. Everybody who comes here, because it's true that the image of Morocco and the north of Africa, unfortunately, due to media, is not the best in the world. But once you arrive here and you realize that this got nothing to do with the things that you have been watching on TV or listening, or so here. One interesting fact is that here to say hello is salam. Salam means peace. So every day you are saying peace like 200 times, and you are listening peace like 2,000 times a day. It's amazing, and it's a reality. Okay. And as Michael said, it's a very hospitable culture. And all this, why all this is important? Because of course, if you are going to be doing business, it's going to be more interesting and smoother to be doing business with people that are friendly, that are hospitable, that are willing to deal with you, to talk to you. And so all these facts are interesting for business. Okay, as you can see in the slide, where there are many facts that is putting Morocco on the top of the list in the African continent. Okay, with many free trade agreements with Europe, with the US, with the Gulf countries, with the Arab countries, etc. And now, and the most important one is the African Free Trade Agreement, guys. As of this year, Africa has ratified, most of the African countries, the African Free Trade Agreement that is gonna make up the largest free trade agreement area in the world. Okay, and how you can benefit out of this free trade agreement? Well, basically, first of all, entering the markets in Africa, and from each African market, you can access the rest of the regions without or benefiting out of the agreements between different countries in the continent. So it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, guys, to access the largest free trade agreement area in the world. Morocco is a 3,500 kilometers of coastline country. Main exports range from automotive. Is one of the top 3 automotive industries in Africa, after South Africa and Egypt. But in 10 years will become the number 1, by the way. So this is also interesting. Regarding aeronautics, it's also in the top 3 in Africa. Around Casablanca Airport is the largest aeronautic industrial park in Africa, where all the big names are manufacturing parts now. And then you have textiles, which is big time, textile industry in Morocco. And then, of course, we cannot forget agriculture and fishing products. I'm sure, as Joe said, some of the clementines that you are eating in the US are coming from Morocco, but also you have oranges, you have olive oil, you have argan oil, you have many products that you can, and of course phosphates. Morocco is the largest phosphate exporter in the world, and one of the largest phosphate reserves in the world also. So basically, this is a brief, quick whole picture of Moroccan economy. As I mentioned to you, infrastructure is key for the development of any country, and Morocco is top of the list in Africa. The Casablanca airport is connected to 35 African countries. It's connected to all the European countries. It's connected to US. It's connected to Latin America. It's connected to China. So Casablanca airport is that one of the reasons why I set up my headquarters here in Casablanca was because it was very well connected. Okay, and that's nowadays is very important. So that was one of the reasons. motorways. Most of the big cities, no, all the big cities in Morocco are connected by motorways built by international companies. So state-of-the-art motorways. The ports, well, what we mentioned before, Tanger Med port, but we have also other ports. Now they're building a new port in Nador, a new port in Yorlasfar, a new port in Dakhla. So they are building new ports. This, unfortunately, in Europe and in the US is more and more difficult to see new ports being built. Maybe you can see upgrading, but no new ports to be built. And this is a reality in Morocco and in Africa, of course. But in Morocco, we'll see 3-4 more ports to be built in the next 5 to 10 years. So these are opportunities for some of your companies, of course. Tramways, we see tramways in Casablanca and Rabat, and new ones to come in other big cities in Morocco. The first high-speed train in Africa, the first and only, by the way, so far, is in Morocco. It's connecting Tangier and Casablanca. Now they are working on the expansion from Casablanca to Marrakesh and from Marrakesh to Agadir. So also, again, new business opportunities for everybody related to railway network development, engineering, construction materials, well, you name it, okay? So basically, this is why Morocco is one of the top destinations in Africa. I will say one of the top 3 to do business, okay? And this been in the last 20, 25 years when we have seen all these developments happening, right? So, well, it's not a coincidence that everybody chooses Morocco to start up their trip, business trip in the African continent. As we mentioned before, there are some key sectors, the car industry, for instance. Car industry, we see now Renault, the French car maker Renault, and Peugeot and Citroën. They are manufacturing here in Morocco, but they are coming new car makers, okay, in the next future. Asian, and probably they said also maybe Ford will come, maybe some Volkswagen company or some Chinese is the next to come. In agriculture and fishing, well, imagine a sector employing more than 40% of the population, how important it is for this country. And this is the same situation we see in most of the African countries. Agriculture and fishing employs, in most of the cases, even 60–70% of the population. So anything related to improving productivity and increasing or improving also the technological aspect of agriculture production will be some of the key sectors in the next future in Africa. Because if you develop agriculture, you will develop the lives of most of the African population. That's why it's so important in the next future, okay? And that's why we see programs fostering, subsidizing government policies that are gonna improve the agriculture sector in the different countries, like the African Development Bank, the World Bank, and all these multilateral organizations that are pushing hardly to improve African citizens' life, okay? As we mentioned before, phosphates, of course, as you can see, 70% of world's reserves of phosphates are in Morocco, which is massive. That's why the largest company in Morocco is OCP, that is the one exploiting, transforming the phosphates into fertilizers and exporting either phosphate or the fertilizer around the world. In fact, it's becoming a key player in the agriculture development in Africa, OCP and Morocco, because they are setting up fertilizer production facilities in most of the African countries. Like this, they can improve and they can increase productivity in all these African countries. Okay, so that's why it's so important. And then the clothing industry. I mean, I don't know to what extent in the US you know brands like Zara, like Mango, like I don't know, Zara, Mango, Pull&Bear, Bershka, Stradivarius. Well, all these big clothing brands, European brands, well, most of them are manufactured in Morocco. So also it's important, so important, the clothing industry and employing many people. And this is also key. Huh? So they are investing in new machinery, new technology. So this is also important to mention, just in case some of you are interested in entering into this sector. So after all this, which opportunities we find in Morocco? Well, Morocco, we find opportunities in each and every sector of the economy. As you can see, it's a very diversified economy where you have industry, you have services. Of course, tourism is the #2 tourist destination in Africa after Egypt, okay? So this is not a coincidence. This is also because when you come to Morocco, you have you can visit the mountains, the Atlas, you can visit the desert, you can visit the very old cities, 2,000–3,000 years old cities like Fez, like Meknes, like Marrakesh. Then you have also huge possibilities tasting new dishes, no? Typical traditional dishes in Morocco. You eat very well here. You will see once you come here. Unfortunately, I took Michael to an international cuisine restaurant. I didn't realize about that. Next time I will take you to a Moroccan cuisine restaurant, Michael, and which is delicious, by the way. And yes, I mean, opportunities, you have opportunities in the tourism sector, you have opportunities in the industry, in any of the industry that we mentioned. I forgot to mention pharmaceutical industry. Pharmaceutical industry is very, very big in Morocco because they are manufacturing generic medicines for the rest of the African continent. Okay, so that's why it's also very, very important. Pharmaceuticals is growing very fast. Then you have renewable energy. Morocco has got the largest solar plant in Africa. So you see, once and again, the largest port, the largest airport, the high-speed train. And this is something amazing, you know. Only a country with 35 million people, how can they be so developed compared to the neighboring countries? Of course, we have to bear in mind that it's the nearest country to Europe, so there is a lot of influence, a lot of investment and commerce and trade and exchanges with the European continent, as you may imagine. That's why, of course, it's much more developed than the rest. But opportunities in any sector, consumption goods, anything. I mean, so far we have helped companies from the US that they are selling marmalade, or they are selling any dairy products, or they're selling anything. I mean, here you can sell anything that you can sell in the US, you can sell it here, okay? It's true that talking about food and beverage, anything related to food and beverage has to be halal. It's a certificate. The halal certificate is a certificate that you obtain in order to sell your products in the Arab world, okay? In the Muslim world, sorry, okay? So anyway, guys, let's talk about other countries in the North African region, okay? Let's start by Algeria. Algeria is the neighbor country, just next door. Unfortunately, they don't get along very well. Morocco and Algeria, for the last 35, 40 years, they didn't enjoy very friendly relationships. Let's leave it like that. The borders are closed between these two countries. Well, let's hope for the best in the future. Opening these borders will increase the GDP in both countries more than 2–3% yearly. So I think it's both countries' interest to open these borders in the next future. We have Algeria as the one of the top economies in Africa. It's the 4th largest economy in Africa. So as you can see, Morocco and Algeria, both of them are 2 of the top 5 economies in Africa. All right. So you have in one region, in 2 countries, already a really high percentage of top economies in Africa. Algerian economy is totally different to the Moroccan economy. Moroccan economy is a diversified economy. Algerian economy is an economy based on oil and gas. Okay, Algeria is the #1 producer of gas in Africa. and is one of the top 5 oil producers in Africa. So they are always depending, the economy is depending on the oil prices, international oil prices. So it's more depending on only one sector with all the risks that this involves. So unfortunately, due to the lack of diversification of their economy, once we see drop in the oil and gas prices, the economy is really very badly impacted. Okay, the society, the economy, etc. So, but we have here a country of 44 million people, developing country, rich country in natural resources, that is going through a process of diversification right now. And we will see many opportunities in each one of the sector of the economy coming up in the next years. They had one rule, one law, that it was that if a foreigner, they wanted to open a company in Algeria, they needed a local person to partner with them with 51% of the shares. So nobody wanted to invest in Algeria. If you are going to have a company and you have to give 51% to a local person. So now this year they abolished this law. So from now on, you can go to Algeria, open your own company, and you can own 100% of the shares. Okay, so this is very good news for Algeria and for the economic development of Algeria in the next future. All right. Well, we mentioned, I mean, imagine 95% of exports earnings are coming from oil and gas. So it's too dependent on oil and gas. So that's why it's so important diversification these days. So the opportunities, well, every sector, they have to develop each and every sector of the economy almost from the scratch. So they need to invest a lot in agriculture development, industrial development, tourism development. So you have there many opportunities in these 3 lines of business. Okay. So anyway, we don't have to forget never renewable energies are going to be very big in all the African countries, of course, also in Nigeria. Even though they are oil and gas rich countries, they have to invest billions and billions in the development of the renewable energy development, solar and wind power, and maybe hydrogen also in the next future. Okay. Let's move now to Tunisia. Okay. Tunisia is a very small country compared to Algeria and Morocco. We are talking about not even million people. It's like the population almost of New York. So we have here a country. I used to live in Tunisia a long time ago, like 12, 13 years ago. It's a very peaceful country. It's most of the population are educated. So you don't have illiteracy rates as you find in Morocco, for instance, or any other African countries. In Tunisia, most of the people are highly educated, okay, which is very shocking when you come from other African countries. Unfortunately, they went through the last 10 years, 8 years after the Arab Spring. So they have been going through really difficult moments. So the economy has been badly impacted in the last 8 years. So, but we have an amazing country with a lot of history, very rich in natural resources. Also, they have oil, they have phosphates. Of course, you have the largest dates producer in Africa. So I read somewhere about the dates. Let me see. 30 to 45% of the dates sold in the US are imported from Tunisia. There you go. So I guess that you have been eating dates and they were produced in Tunisia. Okay. So even though it's a small country, it's still the 4th most visited country in Africa. Okay. I'm sure you remember the movie Gladiator. Gladiator. Okay, so the Coliseum that you see in Gladiator is not the Coliseum in Rome. It's the Coliseum in El Jem in Tunisia. Okay, so you have a lot of amazing sites, Roman sites, Carthaginian sites. You don't have to forget that in the I don't remember which century, but 2000 years ago, more or less, there was a big empire called the Carthaginian Empire, and the capital was in Tunis, in Carthagena. Okay, so back in the days was a very important part of the Mediterranean history. Okay, so it's true that Tunisia is only producing 41,000 barrels per day of oil, so it's not much, but still is giving some revenues. And agriculture again is employing quite a lot of people in the economy. Is important. Agriculture, not only the dates, but also the oranges, clementines, also olive oil. These are one of the top crops and farms in Tunisia. Okay, some automotive industry, not like Morocco, of course, but it's interesting. And renewable energy is big time now in Tunisia. Okay, so everything related to renewable energy is very interesting to access now this country. They are investing a lot of money in the development of renewable. So the opportunities, as I mentioned, tourism hopefully is going to pick up in the next months. Okay, after the coronavirus leave us a little bit quiet. The infrastructure development is key also. They don't have the motorways of the trains that we have in Morocco, not even the airports. So this, we will see development of this infrastructure. So again, opportunities for all the companies, all the engineering companies, construction materials, and all the companies related to ports, airports, railway networks, or motorways. So again, we are talking about developing countries, guys. So full of opportunities. The key, finding the right local partners. Always, this is the key in each and every sector that you are operating. I see that I had a look to the list of companies that you are attending here. You have engineering companies, you have companies related to IT development, you have companies on all sectors of the economy, and each and every one of your companies, you need to find a good local partner in each of these countries. And this will facilitate dramatically the percentage of success that you will have in these countries, okay? Then let's go to the last country of North Africa. The last, but actually is the most populated one. We are talking about almost 110 million people, all right? So it's a big country. This country, as you have learned in history, they are used to do pharaonic projects. So right now, for instance, they are building a new capital. All right. So imagine Cairo, the one that you see in the picture. In this picture is Cairo. So it's a 25 million people city. Cairo. So it's a chaos. To be honest, it's chaotic. So what are they doing now? They are building a new capital with all the investment that this entails, with the new infrastructure, new buildings, new port, new airport, a new tramway, a new water facility, water treatment facilities, etc., etc., etc. And they are not doing the cheap ones. They are really investing in building a state-of-the-art new capital to continue with the historical pharaonic project. But not only that, we will see in the next future, in the next 5 to 10 years, they have to build 10 to 12 new airports. They have to build 3 to 5 new ports. They have to build new motorways, new railway networks, new cities. So can you imagine the amount of investment and business opportunities that you may see in this country in the next future? Egypt is the gate from Africa to Middle East. Okay, it's connecting actually geographically Africa with Middle East, and is the third largest GDP in Africa after Nigeria and South Africa. And so as you can see, guys, you have the third, the fourth, and the fifth largest African country in the North African region. Okay, Morocco, Algeria, and Egypt, they are 3 of the top 5 economies in Africa. That's why it's so important, this region, and that's why most of the companies entering Africa, they choose one of these countries to start. Not Algeria, to be honest. they choose more Morocco and Egypt due to this constraint of the 51% to open a company in Algeria. But now this is over. So also now Algeria will become a top foreign investor attraction, you know. So yes, even Algeria from now on. Okay, we don't have to forget that Egypt is the territory where you have the Suez Canal. Okay, so do you remember what happened, Joe? I'm sure you have more data on that. What happened with the big shipping boat that was stuck in the Suez Canal some months ago?
Yes, unfortunately, you would think that it would only affect that region, but that vessel getting stuck in the canal affected worldwide trade, since the Suez is such a major thoroughfare for east-west trade from Asia to Europe, as well as to the United States. It was a mess. You commend the folks that jumped in to get that thing moving as quickly as possible, but it took another 30 to 45 days for things to progress back to normal.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Exactly. I mean, so that's why it's so important. This canal, this country, and this region. So it's good for all of you that you're attending this webinar, at least to have a little bit more of information about these countries, these markets, to be able to make decisions in the future for your international expansion. Okay, in Egypt, all the sectors are important. I mean, tourism is the number one. Is the number one in tourism in Africa. The first tourist destination in Africa is Egypt. We have food processing. Of course, you have to feed 110 million people, so you need to have a good food processing industry. You have to give apparel to all these guys. So also the textile is big time. But you have also oil and gas, you have chemicals, you have pharmaceuticals, you have industries, construction. So you have big companies in Egypt, okay, in each and every sector. But they will need foreign companies. We are actually, as a matter of fact, as we speak, we are helping U.S. construction material companies. We are helping U.S. Companies from engineering, water treatment companies. So they're demanding quite a lot of companies from the developed world in order to develop their economy. Okay. And of course, we don't have to forget never renewable energy in the North African region and the rest of the continent. All right. So, well, this is it in this little tour by the North African region. I hope that you have enjoyed. Sorry if I was a bit long, but I get passionate on this and I keep on talking. And please make use of the opportunity and ask me anything you need to know. And if I can answer you now, okay, I will. If not, we will keep in touch, and I will send you an email, or we can we can have a call or whatever. Okay.
Thank you, David. We do at this time, we'd be delighted to take some questions. And David, you've got one already from Surinder Sharma from Smart Kids Club. She's asking if you can talk a little bit about elementary school system English language instruction and their use of digital technology in schools.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a very, very hot topic. Listen, as everything in Africa is to be done. So you don't see, not even in Morocco, that is, I would say, top of the list. Not even in Morocco, you see digital education in preliminary school at all. Okay, maybe some American school. There is the American school here, in Casablanca. But apart from that, I don't think you see this kind of technology in preliminary education in the country. But everything is to be done. So it's a matter of fact, it's a matter of coming here, finding the right local partner and promoting this application for the schools, of course.
Thank you, David. Do you think we would be able to find a partner who is doing all this in schools, or who would be interested?
Well, I'm sure that you will find not only one, but several ones interested in introducing new products, innovative products. Okay, these are the kind of products that are that everybody is demanding. You know, the innovative and the technologically developed devices or new technologies. This is the most demanded kind of product nowadays. And if it's applied to education, even more, because education is one of the top three priorities: education, health, and agriculture. They are the top three priorities. So yeah, of course. I mean, and you will find partners in each and every country in Africa, not only in Morocco. It's true that, I mean, for this kind of products, Sharma, you will have to focus on a little bit more developed countries, okay, like Morocco, like Egypt, like Tunisia, Senegal, okay, and then if we go down, then Ghana, South Africa, and Kenya. Okay, these will be the 7-8 countries where these kind of products are going to be welcome. All right, because the other countries, unfortunately, they don't even have a developed education system, national system. So still to develop the whole system.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, Sharma, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, hi, David. I have a question. Thank you so much for your presentation. I would like to ask if you have any knowledge in reference to the environmental regulations in Morocco and Ali, like in reference to like the mining and the phosphate and like, you know, the water pollution. Is it any like heavy regulatory agency in the country?
Yes, actually, in that sense, Morocco is the #1 country, once again, in Africa regarding environmentally friendly development. So the Ministry of Environment is regulating each and every activity in the country. So each and every ministry, like industry, like tourism, like agriculture, has to comply with the environmental regulation dictated by the ministry, the Ministry of Environment. So it's very important and top in the agenda for each and every sector in Morocco to comply with the environmentally friendly regulations.
Thank you.
And
you're welcome, Natalia.
Thank you. David, we have a question from Alan as to Statura. Alan, do you want to ask your question?
Alan?
Alan?
I don't think Alan has audio.
Okay, then let me ask it for him. Thank you, Emma. Alan is asking, David, if you have any insight into the business entity registry or formation side in Morocco. Where do Moroccan entities form their businesses when they want to come to the US, if they want to form a US entity? And how do we help them form in Delaware going forward? So it would be any kind of Moroccan company that's looking for a US presence.
Well, of course. I mean, in Morocco, there is an entity called AMDI, Agence Marocaine de Développement de l'Investissement et de l'Export. And also there is another institution called ASMEX, is the Association Marocaine d'Exportateurs, Export Moroccan Association. And they are supporting and helping Moroccan companies to go abroad and to help companies to go abroad.
Okay. And
besides, yes.
No, you
Yeah.
would be able to, when we, make a visit to Morocco, to work with us and to work with Alan to form an introduction there.
Of course,
Yeah.
we can, definitely. Actually, the president of the Exporters Association is a very good friend of mine. So, yeah, of course, no problem, no problem. So, there is also another program. There are many programs. There is one program of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development that we, Indegate, we are part of the program. One program is called Business Advisory Service, and we help Moroccan companies to go abroad. So our services are subsidized by the European Bank. So Moroccan companies, they can hire our services to go, for instance, to the US, and then the African Development Bank, the European Reconstruction and Development Bank is gonna pay the local company to hire our services to help them to go to the US. Okay, Alan, so we could also definitely collaborate with you in this sense, because then Moroccan companies, they will benefit out of the subsidies from the European Bank.
Thank you, thank you. We have a question from Cole from Bada Environmental. And Cole is asking, how important is water purification technologies to Morocco?
Well, as I mentioned to Natalia, everything related to environmentally friendly and water is key for environmentally friendly development in Morocco. And we have to add another issue is that Morocco, unfortunately, in the south of Morocco and in the desert area, water is scarce. So if we can recycle and purify used water, this is gonna increase the possibility to continue irrigating the crops and to giving water for the citizens. So in fact, this year is gonna be launched and open the largest desalination plant in the South Moroccan region. So water treatment, desalination plants, recycling, etc. It's not that they like it, it's that they need it. They need it, and we have many plants. In Morocco, there is the ONE, is the Electricity and Water National Office, that they are managing and coordinating all the activities related to water distribution throughout the country. And so this will be the institution with whom you will have to talk about this. And we also have the contact, of course, direct contact with the person in charge. So yeah, very important, the water. Everywhere in the world, water is becoming so important.
Yeah, you've got several companies on the line that deal in that sector, so that's very important. Thank you. Our next question, Carl Magnell from Fuel Right. Carl, would you like to ask your question? Oh, you're on mute. Oops, still on mute.
Not yet, Carl.
There
Okay,
we go.
better?
Here he is. Carl, this is David. David, meet Carl.
Good
Hi,
to meet
Carl.
you. Thank you for the presentation. Morocco certainly is a very interesting country and one I'd love to visit. We currently do business in several African countries: South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, but we have not really had any business development in Northwest Africa, or certainly the northern tier of Africa. What we basically do is we optimize the quality of any fuel, whether it's petrol or all the way up to what the IFO fuels. And so we do this in a very environmentally positive way. What type of, approach do you have to some of the major oil companies in Morocco that should be interested in this?
The oil companies.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, as you know, Morocco is starting now with the exploration and the production of oil. Okay, it's not like Algeria or Egypt or Tunisia with already long and we have to go back in the time to see the beginning of exploration in these countries. Morocco is a beginner in this sector, but it's true that many companies from the UK, from the US, from France, mainly Italy, they are exploring already mainly in the south of Morocco. The approach to get to these companies, of course, it will be directly to their local offices, those of them who have local offices, and also to try to meet also the national, is the ONIM, is the National Organization for Oil and Gas sector. So this is a governmental organization, ONIM, and they are the ones managing the whole sector. But you can approach also, or we could approach, or we can help you to approach each one of the private companies operating here. Some of them, they are based in Agadir, that is in the south of Morocco. Some of them in Casablanca. So we will have to check out where are their premises, call them, introducing your company and your services, and see which one of them they will be interested in meeting you and exploring the collaboration possibilities.
Yeah, I've noticed, for example, Shell, I think Total and some others are some of the major players in the downstream sector. We're really not into the upstream sector, exploration or anything like that. What we do is basically greatly improve the quality of the fuel that is used in any engine. So it covers a broad number of sectors. We're very active in the marine sector. We have strong programs in Greece and Spain. And of course, Spain is, as you said, the closest European country to Morocco. But I just noticed that Repsol, for example, we work or have worked with Repsol in Spain. They're leaving Morocco for some reason, but I'm not sure they have a downstream footprint. Do they? Do they actually have stations in Morocco?
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't have. In fact, to be honest, Carl, even in Tunisia, most of the international companies they are selling their assets in Tunisia also. Maybe I don't know the reason behind, but maybe is the lower price, is the lower demand, I don't know what's going on, but the oil. In fact, right now, I've read today that Mauritania. We didn't talk about Mauritania because it's a small country. It's just 4 million country. 4 or 5 million people country. It's just the neighboring country to Morocco in the south. And they are developing now the largest hydrogen production project in Africa. So I see more a move happening towards any renewable energy. And so I guess that's why the oil and gas companies are stepping back and selling assets, and I guess that's the reason.
I'm sure that's a major factor, yeah. However, we're still going to have a viable, there are some very, I think, optimistic projections on how fast one can transition to renewables. And renewables, they're going to play a big role, but there will still be your diesel, your petrol, your even as the transition occurs, you've got decades before there's going to be any significant, the majority might be renewable. But anyway, what we're trying to do is improve the quality of fuels that are being used now. And we
Yeah, yeah.
see,
No,
yeah.
In that sense, Carl, sorry to interrupt you. Of course, you have a big market here because you have a new port to be built in Nador that is going to be devoted just only to oil and gas.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Then you have also, they are upgrading the port of Jorf Lasfar in the south of Casablanca. It's going to be devoted only to fertilizers and phosphates and chemicals production. So I think also it's one of their markets. So of course, and you have, unfortunately, in Morocco, there is only one refinery. So they have to import most of the oil and gas. And so all the ports, they have the facilities to transform this gas into, well, you know, and to charge of the trucks and the pipes. And so, of course, you have a big business here too, regarding that. Well, but even more, I guess, in Algeria and Egypt, because Algeria that's the #1 sector in the economy, and Egypt is also a top oil and gas producer. So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I'll have some questions for Beth a little later on, but I appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, Carl. I hope to see you soon here in Morocco.
Well, that would be nice.
Hopefully next year.
Yeah. Okay.
You will enjoy.
Thank you.
I can take, I want to be respectful of everybody's time, but we do have a question from Naya Mundo from Archeon. She's been waiting, and of course, Naresh Bhatta again. So if we could switch and talk about agriculture for a minute. Naya, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question, or if you're having difficulty with your audio, I can certainly ask it for you.
Oh no, I'm here. Thank you, Beth, for actually organizing this. Good afternoon, good evening for those of you who are in the beautiful continent of Africa, and good morning to everyone who is back here in the United States. I am with Archeon, and yes, we actually are mostly working in the agriculture sector. We do seed treatment and foliar treatment to prevent the pests from eating up most of the farmers' crops. And my question was mostly in the agriculture sector area. If you can elaborate on how the agriculture sector is mainly, I know very well with Morocco, you don't do a lot of grains, but I know other West African countries, they do some millet, there is rice, there is other kind of crops that maybe you might be able to elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, you are right. There is not much extensive agriculture in this part of the world. It's mostly wheat and maize that is produced here in Morocco, but not huge quantities and extensively like you find in the US, of course. In other countries like Algeria, Tunisia, it's very similar. It's very similar to Morocco. There is Mediterranean agriculture, so it's more like olive trees. It's more like fruit trees like oranges, lemons, peaches. What else we find here? Bananas. We find a lot of bananas here. We find what else? Avocado, kiwis. I mean, all apples, pears, all sort of fruits and vegetables. Of course, all the vegetables that you may imagine: tomatoes, onions, potatoes, and all these kind of things. But extensive agriculture is not common in this part of the world.
Okay. Well, we still, I think even if you're talking about the horticultural products, what are the kind of areas the farmers may be having difficulty in terms of achieving food security? Because of course, I was here listening to you clearly talking about the population of Africa. And I know right now achieving food security goals in the Western Africa or anywhere else in Africa, and the capacity for agriculture sector is very important to actually feeding the populations. We still in Africa have a lot of land that we can plant our crops. I know in your country you do quite a lot of vegetables. In Morocco you do a little bit of vegetables, but I'm wondering what kind of challenges do the farmers may be having over there, in terms of productivity, because obviously even if you're not doing grains, I know there is another product we'll be putting in the market, in the African market, that is specifically good for horticultural products.
Definitely. Actually, I have to tell you that, of course, anything related to agriculture development, increasing productivity, application of new technologies, this is extremely welcome here. As a matter of fact, we are helping a fertilizer manufacturer, a US fertilizer manufacturer, to enter here in Morocco. We found a local partner for them, and they are starting actually this month in September. They started to try the fertilizer in crops of tomatoes and peppers in the south Moroccan region in Agadir. So yeah, of course, I mean, everything that you can bring to this beautiful country and this wonderful continent to increase the productivity in agriculture will be welcome. Of course, this is what we are looking for.
Brilliant. That's good. At least we are on the same page when it comes to statistically speaking, and what our product is green and environmental friendly, biodegradable. So we are very conscious on what we bring to the market, and so I would be willing to have further conversation. We'll be willing to have further conversation, and all when Beth organizes that trip to Morocco, definitely we would like to be represented and speak to one or two or a few companies about what we can potentially do moving forward.
With great pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
And we have one last question, if we may. David, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Naresh Bhatta. We've had the pleasure of working together ever since I've joined the state, and he's one of our finest exporters and one of our nicest Delaware families, that's for sure. So Naresh, I'll introduce you to David and let you ask your question.
David, thanks. A good presentation, by the way. Very, very informative. Thank you. And thanks, Beth.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you. Pleasure.
Yeah, you call was great. I mean, telling us all the details that we want to hear. My question is, in general, agriculture university, I'm sure in all these 4 or 5 countries that you showed us, they produce a lot of fruits and processed foods, etc. How do they avoid decaying the food and fruits in the warehouse? Is there any process going on? Because over the time, if they let the mangoes, for example, let the mangoes sit in the warehouse for a week or so, 2 weeks, whatever it is, and obviously they decay because they don't have a good quality, can't export it or can't sell it. Are there some sort of process available there, or obviously air conditioning help, but there is also a techniques available to kill the bacteria and bring more life to the fruits stored in the warehouse. That's my question. How they are how at this time is being handled?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you have to take this country by country. Morocco, I guess that is the most developed one in that sense. But even so, I would say that I don't think they're using very developed products to preserve their fruits or vegetables. I guess that what they do is a little bit of AC and then exporting and shipping as soon as possible. I mean, this part of the world, you have to understand that as I mentioned at the beginning, everything is to be done. New products has to be introduced, new methodologies, new formats, new everything. So yeah, I'm sure even if some of the companies, they have it, maybe, to be honest, now thinking out loud, probably the largest company in Morocco is called Le Domaine Agricole. It's a company of the group of the king. So it's one of the top companies. And maybe this company, maybe they're using something like that, but I don't think the rest of the companies, they are using any developed products to preserve their production.
Well, good. That's what I want to hear, because we have a product that can bring more life. So,
so yeah. So basically, it will be a matter of visiting the big farmers and also the agriculture product importer distributors. That will be your because you could sell directly to the end user or through importer distributor, of course.
Yes.
And along the same line, just thought of that, since you mentioned a lot of, like Morocco has the largest port, seaport,
yeah.
and there's a lot of ships docked there and other, so there must be some oil spills in that, spills from the ships or wherever it is. There's also a factor in the environmental sector. We have a product that can do the oil water filtration. So we like to set up a meeting with you through Beth and see how we go from there.
Of course.
With great pleasure, honestly, with great pleasure. Through Beth, through Emma, you can access me and we can arrange meetings and hopefully next year a trade mission like this, you all will be able to visit and meet personally your local partners or your local clients. And yeah, of course. That's so far, to be honest, in the last 2 years, what we've been doing is virtual meetings, virtual trade missions. As a intermediary activity before the in-person mission, that is, of course, much better, even more in this part of the world, no, where personal relationships are keys for success.
I understand. I have the opportunity to go to what you call it? Dubai, UAE.
Yes.
Time Jordan, UAE, Jordan, and so try to, from business trips, and it was very a lot of market there. We have office in Dubai, and we're working through them, so it'll be better to work from Dubai and onwards to the other countries. Yeah. So let's see how things go. It's a very informative presentation that you and your team made.
Thank you.
Really appreciate.
Thank you very much indeed. Appreciate. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank everyone today for joining, and especially thank David and welcome you to our Export Delaware family. We're very excited to have you. We definitely will be planning a trade mission. I think everyone shares my feeling. We've got to get the heck out of here, or we're going to go crazy if we have to stay home for a month. Okay. Excuse me. So we look forward to having you all with us again soon. And I want to thank everybody for their time. And if you have any other questions for David, please reach out to Emma or I, and we'll look forward to working with him and booking something soon. The good news is we were successful in getting additional funding this year from the SBA, and our new year starts October 1st. And it looks like we have Mike on the line, Mike Rossi from SBA, who's your local Delaware contact. And
good morning, everybody. Congratulations, Beth.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for all your help. And we look forward to working with SBA and putting together a nice program so you can all come and increase your business in Morocco and Northern Africa. So thank you all.
Well,
thank you once
thank
again.
you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you, and
much.
a big pleasure to be part of the family, Delaware family, honestly.
And we
You
look
are all
forward to
welcome and hope to see you soon. And I hope to visit also Delaware next year. Hopefully,
Yes.
let's see, we can travel and I will visit you also.
Thank you so very much.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
afternoon,
much.
everybody.